This is my video on universal two-factor authentication with the Flipper Zero. So, what is universal two-factor authentication? It is a security standard that essentially provides an additional layer of protection beyond a password. So it works by requiring two forms of verification when you log in to your account. The first factor is something you know, like a password, and the second factor is something you possess, such as a physical security key, like what we're going to get into today. So universal two-factor authentication specifically uses hardware devices, whether they're USB, NFC, or Bluetooth, to authenticate the login. So the way it works is when you log in, after you enter the password, you're prompted to insert or tap the security key into the computer to verify the identity. It has very, very high security because it protects against phishing, man-in-the-middle attacks, and other attacks, because it requires a physical presence of the authentication device. Meaning, if that device is not physically plugged into your computer, you cannot log in. So, you may be asking, well, what's the difference between two-factor authentication and universal two-factor authentication? Well, the main difference between 2FA and U2F, it lies in the method and the technology used for the second factor. So second factor authentication can be anything beyond the password, like a one-time password, like through an Authenticator app that has a 30-second expiry on a 6-digit number that you have to type in. Getting an email, getting a text, doing your fingerprint, stuff like that. So the second factor, it doesn't always require a physical device, but with universal two-factor authentication, it requires a physical hardware key as the second factor. So as I said, you have to physically connect or tap the key to log in. So as I also said previously, it's resistant to phishing attacks, man-in-the-middle attacks, takeover attacks, because the attacker cannot intercept a code or anything. So having a physical key ensures that the authentication occurs only with the legitimate device and on that legitimate website. So, in order to set up two-factor authentication, the example I'm going to use is Google. So I'm going to go to my camera so you can see my computer screen. So you're going to go sign into your Google account. You're going to go over here, and you're going to go to manage your Google account. This is going to bring you to this page where it shows you everything, and you're going to go to security. So at security, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see it says two-step verification. So you're going to click on that. Now it's asking for two-factor authentication that I already have, so fingerprint, PIN, or another device. So I'm going to do my fingerprint. It's now authenticated. So that's an example of two-factor authentication. So it says second steps. It says that I can get a prompt on 3 devices. I can use the Authenticator app. I can have a text. I can use my 10 backup codes. But we're going to be focusing on passkeys and security keys. So you're going to click on that. And you're going to go to use another device, and you're going to select security key, and you're going to click next. It's going to bring you to this security key setup. You're going to click OK. You're going to click OK again. And then it's going to say insert your security key into the USB port. So now I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to show you what you do. So you go down to the U2F app, you select it, and it's going to say connect to a device. So what you do now is you use the cable that came with your flipper, because that cable is a charging cable plus a data cable. Not all cables are created unique. So I always use the one that came with the flipper because it's designed specifically for it. So as soon as I connect it, it says connected, and then it says press OK to register. So I'm going to press OK. Now it says connected. Now I'm going to go back to my camera, and it says on my end, passkey saved. You can now use your security key to sign into Google. You're going to press OK. You're going to press done. You're going to go down and you're going to rename it. So the way I like to name it is Flipper 02FA. And you're going to click save. So now when you go to log in to your Google account, unless you have it set to trust the device, so let's say you go to your friend's computer and you want to log in, you are going to have to plug in your Flipper Zero into the computer in order for it to work. Now, when it comes to passwords, Google does have an option to generate highly secure passwords, but I have a recommendation that is far better than that when it comes to passwords, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to leave this the link to this website in the description of the video, but as you can see, it generates long, high-quality, random 256-bit passwords, which means 64 characters. So you're going to want to do the 64 random hexadecimal characters. So as you can see, this is a very long password, impossible to be brute forced. And when you refresh the page, it changes the code to something else that's more secure, and it never generates a number that is exactly the same. Once one is used, it gets erased and it can never be used again. And it uses what's called maximum entropy, which means the highest level of possible randomness and security. So I highly recommend you use grc.com for your passwords. Use a 64 character 256-bit random hexadecimal password for your password. So that'll make it near impossible to brute force your password. Even if somebody were to theoretically brute force your password, which is impossible and not plausible with a 64 character 256-bit hexadecimal password, they would still have to have your flipper physically plugged in to the computer in order to log in. So that's universal two-factor authentication explained for you. If you folks have any requests for videos that you would like me to do next, drop them in the comment section, and happy flipping.